Good evening, late night freaks. I am so stoked to drop in for this tonight. A lot I want to speak to. That's Ted in the background there. Apparently, he has some stuff he wants to come up and out too. I want to start out just by saying thank you to everybody who's been coming and checking out the lives, checking out the reads, and supporting Broad Coven. I got a little cookie, a little treat from YouTube today when they let me know that I got a new achievement, and 3,000 of you have come to check out Broad Coven over the past month. And so I was super stoked about that. That made me really happy because I'm loving what I'm doing here. It's a lot of fun. And welcome to whoever just joined me. Thank you for spending your time with me tonight. But I'm just super stoked to be doing what I'm doing and sharing these readings and also letting a part of myself be seen that, not everybody's known about. I've always been out of the closet as a witch, okay? But not on this level. So hey, it's Drago Lizzie. It's my cohort for On the Hedge. It's good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna have a fun talk tonight. Do you dig the green? The green? I wanted to go for a very alfaba kind of look since we're gonna be talking about witches, and perceptions of witches. And I'm also going to dive into a read, but I'm just thanking everybody for their support for Broad Coven. It really means a lot to me. I really appreciate all of you. That was so wonderful to get that little notice of achievement today. And I look forward to just building things here and bringing more cool stuff to the table. And I'd also like to do, collaboration too. So if there's ever somebody who wants to do a talk in tarot with me, any of you readers out there, and you got an idea for a topic, I'd love to have you on and we could both read. It could be a lot of fun. But yes, I thought about tonight and what I wanted to bring in. And what I'm really looking to do is to dispel some myths that still exist relentlessly about witches. And I think a lot of that has to do with social media and just sort of what's put out there. I also see a lot of it on YouTube too. And so, as a witch, I wanted to speak to this and I just wanted to provide some illumination, on what it really means to be a witch. Um, and why there shouldn't be judgment around somebody holding this title and how we can shift things, shift views, to create more understanding. Because I think a lot of times there's these judgments about witches because there's just a fear of what's not understood. A lot of times when people don't know something about something, then they can feel a little, apprehension about it. They're not so sure if they should trust it. And so I just wanted to drop in for a conversation on this. And I've been tuning into Hekate's energy. And I felt like it was just appropriate to bring Hekate in because she is the queen of witches. And she also is the keeper of the crossroads, and I thought she could give us some keys and how we can move forward in this regard, to make more room for appreciation of how individuals choose to express their spirituality, and why do we kind of have issues around this and judgments around this, simply because somebody has a path that's different from ours, Um, and it was really interesting because you might notice I still have all this like Jim Morrison stuff up from my last one I did, my last talk in tarot, where we had a channeling session with Jim. And yeah, for some reason I just didn't want to take the stuff down. This beer is his, it's not mine. He wanted a beer, so I made sure to leave him a beer offering. But I kept all the Cobra stuff up. And I just noticed, it's pretty wild because I felt this strong urge to work with Hekate, right? I had this dish here of frankincense, and I had put a wonderful friend, Tessa, made these for me, but they're key earrings. And Hecate holds the keys to the crossroads. And I had just so happened to put this by this cobra, this cobra that my friend Arbivo got me, okay? And it's so funny because here's the symbols of Hecate. It's like her energy was already coming in, before I even planned it. I find that so funny. I love it when that kind of stuff happens, when these keys, these clues come in ahead of time. So, the whole reason I was really motivated to do this particular topic is because I'm a newbie here on YouTube. I haven't been on here very long. And I've had this particular channel for like a year, but I didn't actually start posting anything here until just this past October. So I haven't even been active on YouTube even a year yet. I'm really a newbie around here. And I'm really wanting to like build community and connect with other readers. And like, I love seeing, so many fabulous readers out there. I mean, run tell them, the big body high priestess, somebody come see this. All right, so boom. She is like awesome. She is awesome. I love the big body high priestess. She is one of the readers out there who's really representing that priestess energy. I drop in for her reads on the regular. If you don't know about her, check her out. Her channel is awesome. Her her channel is awesome, and her channeling is awesome. She's very much in tune, and she gives it straight up. And I just absolutely love her energy, love her reads. So I just want to give her a little bit of respect, much respect to you, big body high priestess, and lots of love. She's definitely raising the vibration here. It's really nice. And there's just there's too many amazing readers, to mention. Uh, but I'm just really enjoying, uh, you know, seeing all these gifts that people bring to the table. And as I'm seeing this, I'm also seeing some things that I feel like kind of prevent us from really coming forward and together as a community, a supportive community. And one of the things I've seen is there's been a lot of talk about witches. Readers talk about witches a lot. And they talk about witchcraft and they talk about different types of spell work and different types of practices. And there's always this very, very much like Hollywood generated um, message that comes forward when that stuff does get brought into readings. And I've just been noticing a lot of negativity and talk about, witches being so dark, and so in their shadow, and like almost like putting this like toxic, kind of label on witches. And I think a lot of that is generated from social media, really, if you think about it, with all the memes and stuff that people put out. I mean, a lot of it is just jokes, but I can't tell you how many times I see, people posting online about, they're going to hex somebody or, kind of throwing their weight around like that. And I don't think that's really the best representation of witches, because it mainly feeds into those stereotypes. And let's get real here. Any witch that's going to do any kind of working like that isn't going to be going around, bragging about it on social media. It's also one of those matters that do witches hex? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, yeah, there is such thing as a righteous hex. There's hexes to protect. Um, and there's hexes to uh, prevent boundaries from being intruded upon. And yeah, some people do get imbalanced on their paths, but that's in any spiritual path. You find people who can be out of balance. Look at any spiritual tradition. Look at human beings just by nature. So it's not so much that it's the witch, but most witches aren't going around casting spells all the time. And they're not hexing because there's a high price to pay for hexes, and witches understand this, that there's an energy exchange involved. So the goal is really, as a witch, to be able to be very informed about your shadow, to understand your shadow, and to have done the shadow integration work, which doesn't mean your shadow goes away. Your shadow is always with you, but you're able to kind of like transcend those base impulses of your shadow. You're able to alchemize those energies, raise it up to a higher vibration, and you act out of your higher consciousness. Okay. That's how you get good, solid manifestations in your life anyway. That's how you come into your power. And this is really what the path of power is about in the craft. It's about that inner alchemical journey, of healing, witches are healers. Back in the days of old, if you had a problem, if you had an issue, if you needed healing, whether that healing was mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, you went to the hedge, you went beyond there at the edge of the village where nobody really liked to go. And you went where the wild things are, and you went to see the witch. And she might sing songs over you. She might make you some kind of herbal concoction, She might give you Olympia, a special magical bath to give you cleansing, but she would bring you healing. She would bring you answers. She might also consult oracles. And so to me, it's kind of funny that there's sort of like this negative talk about witches within the YouTube community among tarot readers, because don't you realize that, there was a time where if you were a reader, you were automatically dubbed a witch. You might be burned at the stake for that, And really what it comes down to is witches are very much counterculture. And I would say, if you really want to understand what the path of a witch is like, if you haven't read Gregory McGuire's Wicked, do yourself a favor and give it a read. And it will help you understand everything about what it means to walk this path, because it really is somewhat of a rebellion. It's a rebellion to be a witch. You're bucking the system, and you are not looking for power outside of yourself in getting things. This is why when somebody's really aligned with the path of the witch, hey, angel wings, we're bringing your beloved Hecate tonight. I've been dropping into Hecate's energy all day, so it's so perfect that you're here. I know that you got deep love for Hecate. But when you're really working that path, as a witch, you're not working spells all the time, to get things, because it's not about that. It's not about the power that can be, grasped outside of yourself. A witch wants to alchemize themselves and come into alignment with their power. And we all have this power. It's not just indicative to someone who walks the path of the witch, okay? Everybody has a way to connect with this source of power. It's our ashay. It's that essence, that energy that makes us who we are, okay? It doesn't matter what spiritual path you're on. We all have this ability. So it's not even like, oh, I'm special, I'm a witch. We all have this ability. We just have different routes, to getting there. And none of those ways are wrong. None of those ways are wrong, Some of us just like it hot. We like it a little spicier, We like the old gods. We like the old gods. And I'm just saying, the old gods were here before, Christianity ever came around. So, we like to go to the roots of things. Witches like to tap the roots, They want to feel connected to their ancestors. They want to feel connected to their roots, to their lineage. They want to feel the power of that, They want to feel the power of their lineage. They want to act from that place, because to step into the title witch is to say, I am here to contribute my power in a way in the world that brings healing. A priestess makes all things sound. A priestess makes all things sound. And that begins within herself. All right? So she's not sitting there going, ooh, who can I cast a hex on? But that's like the image that's being like perpetuated out here, man. And it's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Just because you don't understand somebody's path, don't demonize it. Don't demonize it. You can look at any spiritual, any spiritual tradition, and there's bad apples in the bunch. Okay? Any spiritual tradition. Don't slap some, shadow label on the path of a witch. There's still persecution going on for witches in the world, actually. There are still people being killed for being a witch. It's true. It's real. And maybe do some research about it. Do you really want to be part of contributing that energy to the collective? Because at the end of the day, we're all connected. It's all the same trip. We are just different faces of that one energy, and we each have, the right to our freedom of expression and to express our ashe in the world, to express our soul's essence, to let that come forward. And we've chosen the path of the rebel. We want to thumb our nose at all the shoulds, We don't want to be put in a box. We want the freedom to, march to the beat of our own drum, do our own thing, express ourselves how we want to express ourselves, just like you all do, And I have to say, I'm not initiated onto any kind of African diaspora path, but I have a deep, deep love for those traditions. And I have a deep, deep love for the Orishas, like for real, strong. I love the Orishas. I think the traditions, the spiritual traditions of Yoruba are gorgeous and beautiful. And I don't like hearing people saying such negative things about voodoo. All right. And voodoo is a beautiful, rich, spiritual, cultural tradition. And again, it's not about people doing voodoo curses on everybody. How much do you really know about it? Have you ever really looked into it? It's about dance and music and embodying spirit. There's so much appreciation for the earth and the elements, and you've slapped some horror movie, Hollywood generated image on it. It is so disrespectful. Tarot destroyer. Honey, you cannot judge my spirit. You cannot judge my spirit. And you know what? I work with the Bible too. I work with the Psalms. They're actually very potent spells. They're very potent. And I respect your right to have your path, but you're not going to come in here and think you're going to shut me down. Not a chance. In fact, you've actually really inspired me to get to pulling out some of these cards. I am so ready to do some reading now, Tarot Destroyer. Tarot Inspirer. You know, uh, it's also said in the Bible that the prophets speak in tongues. You know, so what do you have to say about that, Tarot Destroyer? What do you have to say about that? What about King Solomon? He's one of his favorites. Oh, honey, you're so sad. You're so sad. Is this what you do with your time, huh? You're over here watching me. I'm not tuned into watching you. I think it's more your power is fading, right? So anyway, I'm pulling some cards here. Yeah, look at this. You want to do some talk? You want to do some talk? We got the nip slip pope here, right? How many wars have been fought in the name of Christianity? How much bloodshed has there been in the name of Christianity? How many children have been abused by the priests that they're supposed to be able to trust? You want to come over here and judge? You want to get real? We can get real, honey. We can get real all the day, live long day, because you have no fucking clue. You're only looking at the light inside. You're not aware how dark your shadow is coming over here, trying to shut me down. You're like an order of half-priced hot wings, honey. There's no meat to your message, man. There's no meat to your message. But there's a message for you. Toilet angel. You see that there? Toilet angel. You can take your opinion and you can flush it. So anyway, as I was saying, it's really important, you know, that we can come from a place of not judging others' paths. You know, everybody has a right to walk their own path. And as I was saying, there's people in every tradition, every spiritual tradition you can think of that has brought some kind of negativity into the world. And this is because humans are involved. And humans in their essence are shadow and light. And there will always be bad apples in the bunch. This is clear. But you come on here, Tarot Destroyer, and you're promoting aggression and hateful energy. And I'm talking about people coming together and love and understanding. But the witch is evil, right? The witch is evil. You might want to rethink that a little bit. But I respect your right. I respect your right to have your beliefs. You know, I actually grew up in a Christian religion. I grew up in a very strict Christian religion. I was raised in the Jehovah's Witness religion until the age of 12 years old. So I know all about Bible study, and I know all about God and Jesus and all of that. And I actually felt very connected to that as a child. I felt very connected to those energies. I wanted to feel more connected to those energies. I recognized those energies in nature all around me, you know. I felt very connected to spirit. And I related very much to those energies, but it was the actual church and the control and the brainwashing and the programming that turned me off, man, even as a kid. And even as a kid, I rebelled against it. I rebelled against it. And I found my connection in nature. And that's where I found my heart. I found my connection in nature. And nature is my church. And that's also what witches are about. We're about honoring the cycles of nature. We understand that we're just a reflection of nature. There is no separation, you know? We want to get back to the old ways. We want to get back to the roots where we actually honor our earth, where we respect our earth, where we tend to our earth, where we care for our earth. And we also don't want to live in this puritanical mindset that's about denying ourselves pleasure, not having satisfaction, not enjoying our time here, because we've been given this gift of life, this physical body. We're meant to enjoy and savor and celebrate this garden of earthly delight. That's what it means to be a witch. Oh, thank you. Thank you. You touch my heart. Thank you. I appreciate you too. You're always here. You always drop in with me. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Um, yeah, you know, that's what it means to be a witch. To be a witch means to step into a position of responsibility. It means you understand that you have a responsibility to be a steward of the earth, that you are here to be in your power, to appreciate the gift of life, and to use your power in a way that benefits that life, yours and others, and all of life. And because you understand the responsibility of this, you also take on this work, you know, this internal work to alchemize those more shadowy aspects. You know, you hear the phrase a lot, love and light, 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 love and light. And I've heard people say the most fucked up shit and after follow it with love and light, as if that somehow absolves it, but it doesn't. It's just a word. It doesn't mean anything if you're not living from that place within yourself. And you know, it said, the brighter the light, the darker the shadow. You know that it's not all love and light. It's not, because we are reflections of nature. And if you look at nature all around you, you will see that nature is not always kind. Nature can be cruel, right? We see this duality throughout all of life. There's not just daytime and sunrise, there's also darkness and nightfall, right? The tide, it ebbs, it flows. There's times of fullness, there's times of fallow, right? We see this duality in all of life. So it can't be all love and light all the time. And that's what the work of a witch is about. It's about understanding that there is this duality and being conscious of the shadow and doing the alchemical work so you can rise above, rise above those shadowy tendencies, not by denying them, very much aware of them, okay? Not by denying them, but because you are aware of them and you've embraced them and accepted this is part of who I am, you're able to transcend that. So really, when we're looking at, the path of a witch, it's not about casting spells for goodies or casting hexes. And witches come from all different kinds of walks of life, You probably know a bunch of witches and you don't even realize it. It's not like we go around wearing pointy hats and advertising who we are. And there are many people who do choose to keep quiet about it because there is still judgment around it. There is still stigma around it, you know? So, uh, getting back to what I was talking about before I was so rudely interrupted, uh, I do have to say, I love the African diaspora traditions. And I I think it's just such a shame that people are spreading more misinformation, about those traditions by reducing it to being all about like doing voodoo curse work. It really is harmful and it brings hateful energy into the world. And it's wrong. It is. It's just flat out wrong, you know? And it's just a holdover of colonialism, you know, that's stripped, these beautiful cultures of their traditions, their spiritual traditions, have tried to, but they didn't have the strength to overcome that, you know? They didn't have the strength to overcome that. And so it's such an insult, it's such an insult and it actually perpetuates racist views as well to put that energy out there. It's very harmful. It's very harmful. You call it black magic. What the fuck is that? Magic is just magic. Magic is just magic. And black is not synonymous with evil or bad. All in the name of love and light, right? It's wrong. It's wrong. And it needs to shift. It definitely needs to shift, you know? I want to just pull a card for the collective, a few cards for the collective, and just tap into the energy a little bit. I do have to say that I hope that people, instead of making judgments and putting out these like damaging messages that are really, based on stereotypes and based on stereotypes that were perpetuated by the patriarchy, to keep women in their place. It's true. It's true. It would be nice if instead of just making judgments and putting out what is actually very harmful energy into the world, if you don't understand something and that gives you a feeling of anxiety about it, or if you have fear about it, why not try actually like talking to a witch? Let her help make it clear for you. Let her help you understand, Instead of just making these assumptions and, doing readings about who's doing an evil voodoo curse on you. My God, can we raise the vibration a little bit? Can we? Can we raise the vibration a little bit? Can we make room for people who have different views? Can we understand that that doesn't make them wrong? If it is love and light, if that's the focus, if love and light is the focus, okay, then isn't that about trying to bring people together rather than creating further division and discord? I mean, call me crazy. It's not really rocket science, not in my opinion at least. I feel like it's pretty clear. I just wanted to address it. I wanted to address it. I'm like sitting here, I'm looking at my candle holder I was gifted this beautiful candle holder. It has this image of Marie Laveau on it. And she also has a snake around her neck in this candle holder. And I actually want to show you all. I want to show you because it's funny that snake theme came in, right? Came in with the Kati. And see the snake around her neck? So this serpent theme is coming through, right? Now, most people associate like the serpent with devil energy, right? But it's not devil energy. Snake medicine is about transformation. It's about taking what's poisonous and transmuting the energy so it can become a source of healing. Snake medicine in terms of what we were talking about earlier, doing that alchemical work, working with your shadow, integrating your shadow, and then being in a place where you can be the balancing point within those two dualities, your shadow, your light, and you can walk the hedge. You can find the middle way, I am actually initiated onto a path of the craft, which is the third road. And my teacher is Francesca de Grandes. She will always be one of my teachers on the path of the craft. So I did actually get initiated into a tradition. It's a solitary tradition. I do my own thing. Sometimes I like doing work with other people. It can be fun, but I tend to prefer to work alone. I like to just connect with my spirit in a private sort of way, most of the time. Although it's kind of funny because doing what I'm doing here on Broad Coven now, I'm more out there, I'm more out there. I'm kind of like I was saying earlier, I feel like I've really like come out of the broom closet on a whole other level. And it's just been kind of a wild experience. But I really would love if, we could all, support each other, support each other in letting who we are, just come forward in the world. And that's absolutely, tied to your spiritual expression. And honestly, I don't care what spiritual path someone chooses to follow. I don't. I think that, we each have our own path to walk. To me, it's all one energy. And I think that, if you look at all different kinds of spiritual traditions, that is one thing we all have in common. And I think it's really important to think about the common thread. What is the connecting point? Not about how do we see things differently, or where are you right and I'm wrong, or where am I right and you're wrong, however you want to look at it, again, dividing it into like these dualities, this way of looking at it, that doesn't afford room for understanding, really. It's like, that's the one thing we can all connect on, no matter what our spiritual belief is, that it's all one, even for atheists, okay? Because they believe it's all one. It's just all me, man. It's just all me. There is no deity, and it's kind of funny. I think I'm a little bit more kind of along those lines, because even though I work with goddess energy, I don't really necessarily think of it as an actual like being. I believe it's just another expression of that one energy, like an archetype, And so I relate to it in a way of just sort of like tapping into this archetypal energy and embodying it. It's different for everybody, and no way of relating to your spirituality or your higher consciousness is wrong. It's not, if it's something that feeds your soul and it allows you to really, connect with, that more centered, peaceful, aware, visionary place in yourself where you can actually bring forward your gifts into the world, and affect positive change, I think that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing, however you relate to that. And that's all that's really different about, different spiritual traditions, you know, whether you like to find that peace, that centeredness, that connection, sitting in a pew, or whether you find that when you're standing on a mountaintop, or when you're playing your fucking guitar, or dancing, or painting, or making love. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that you're making that connection, and that you honor that other people have different ways of having that connection. And it doesn't make it wrong, and it doesn't make it evil. It's just not your way, you know? It's just not your way. It's interesting because everything that flew out, the first stuff that flew out, it's all shadow aspect. And what I see here is we got 6 total, 4 of wands, 2 of wands kind of energy, with the clubs. And first thing I did think about is together 4 and 2 is 6, right? So 6 is all about purpose, and I think that collectively, we're all stepping into our purpose right now. And that is really about connecting with this aspect, the hidden. This is the title card for the deck here. Connecting with those hidden aspects of ourselves actually allows us to activate our gifts. That may sound strange, but a lot of times what keeps us from really activating our purpose and bringing our purpose forward is the denial of that work, of being willing to look in our shadowy places, seeing where we're kind of held back, seeing where we maybe have told ourselves some stories that have kept us from really trusting what we feel our purpose is, trusting where we feel led, trusting what we feel is right for us, what we need to do. And this is really what's coming forward in the collective consciousness right now, is this need to dive into this Pluto retrograde energy, okay? And do this, this death work. It's really what it's about. It's the death of the things that have actually held us back. Collectively, we are moving into more of a lightness of being time, But first, before we can get there, we have to do this final closure work. We have to really honor the deaths, respect the deaths, mourn the deaths, release them, okay? And when I'm talking about those deaths, I'm talking about deaths of old identities, shadow aspects of ourselves, things that have held us back, energies we need to transmute, because we've kind of been blinded by them and invested in them as the truth. Maybe there's stuff that, we've kind of had programmed into us, since we were kids, about who we are, what we're capable of, what we should do while we're here, instead of really getting in touch with the truth of our purpose so we can activate it and bring it forward. And this right here itself is that witch work, it's that alchemical work. However you do it, some of you may do it through prayer, us witches do it through ritual, you can find ritual in all traditions. You can find ritual at the church. Tell me if you've ever gone to a Catholic mass that's not ritual. It's ritual for sure, These are all just different rituals. It's all just different ways of connecting with this energy that we are all connected to, So it's really about erasing, these kind of fears. And again, with that hidden card, it makes me think of, just in terms of our topic, we often can have fear around what is unknown or what we don't understand. And so a lot of overcoming fear, just as it is with shadow work, is kind of not pushing it away, which only increases the resistance, all right, and keeps you out of that place of understanding. It was 44:55 on the clock when I said that, okay? So that's 8, 10 energy, all right? It's like completing these old cycles, you know? It's like completing these old cycles, tying up these old ways of viewing things. There's like this big shift happening right now in consciousness for the collective as a whole, you know? We're all going through it. No matter what our spiritual paths are, we're all going through it, you know? We're really looking at our beliefs and how did these beliefs get there? And does this belief serve me? Do I even believe this anymore? Or am I just kind of operating out of this place on autopilot rather than kind of leaning into it and trying to understand, actually understand why the belief is there? And if it still applies, if it still actually speaks to me, if it is something that's like a template for my life, because that's what your beliefs become, right? Your beliefs become a template for your life. You know, if you believe that everybody is out there, doing evil things, hexing people, bringing harm onto other people, you think they're, coward in their corners, doing dark workings on so and so because they stole their boyfriend or whatever, whatever. If you think that that's going on all the time, you're actually like jinxing yourself. That's like crossing energy. You know, it's like crossing energy. You're allowing negative beliefs to kind of cloud your judgment about the reality. And so that's where your energy is fixated. So you thereby create that very thing, and that's another thing that's different about witches is we're just very conscious of that. We're conscious that, thoughts are things, words are spells, you know, and it's important to be in integrity. And do people ever do workings that are on an occult path? Does that stuff ever happen? Sure it does. Sure it does. You know, do people that go to church ever do negative, harmful, cruel things to other people? Yeah, they do. People do that. No matter what the spiritual tradition, you know. But really, who gets hurt? Who gets hurt, in doing those kind of lower vibrational workings or getting revenge or doing negative things anyway, regardless of how they're going about it, whether they're doing a hex, whether they're speaking out against somebody, whether they're being a bully, whether they're being abusive, whatever, uh, it always comes back. It always comes back to the person that is putting that energy out into the world. It's sort of that energy, like, I'm seeing Miss Seeley in my mind from The Color Purple, where it's like the jail you plan for me is the one you'll rot in. When you live from that place, you're living from a place of really being imprisoned by these beliefs, these beliefs that are wrapped up in fear and lack of understanding, so just like in alignment with our topic tonight. But in general, I'm seeing this is also the work that the collective has to do, and also for us to come together collectively, which is so important. This message was really coming through strong, though, just in relation to our topic, because we have the 9 of spades with the 5 of spades with the 3 of wands, energy, that 3 of clubs, which is all like totally speaking this message of, the reason why people have a resistance against witches, why they think they're bad people is because of these images that are perpetuated out there on social media, in something as stupid and trite as a meme, making jokes about putting people in jars and, doing voodoo dolls on people. And you're putting that out there. It's like you're supporting the fucking patriarchal, suppressive, colonialist agenda, man. It's fucking ugly energy. It is. Shouldn't we want to like feed the empowerment? Feed the empowerment, the empowerment of these traditions, especially when people, connected to those traditions are putting that out there all the time. It's like it's so like feeding into the man. you know? So like tap into that witch, man. Tap into the witch a little bit. Rebel against some of that. Those of you who are on the occult path that are like, feeding into this stereotypical energy because it's not elevating. It's not elevating. It's not actually feeding an energy to the collective that is healing. That's about that, alchemizing those lower energies, right? You can't really step into your power if you're operating out of that place, perpetuating bullshit and lies and fucking programming and dogma. It's like so counter these kind of traditions. So counter these kind of traditions. I think like the big message that I'm really getting, is that there needs to be more balance, with this two of diamonds energy. There needs to be more balance. There needs to be more respect that, as human beings, we're never all going to see things alike. We won't. There's always going to be somebody who's looking through a different window in the grid than you, who has a different view than you, who feels differently than you. Their spirituality may be different from you. They connect to their spirit in a different way. They live lives that you don't agree with. They do things that you would never do. Well, you're not them. Stop trying to control people and put them in rigid little boxes and tell them who they need to be. Let people have the freedom of the expression of their soul. Weren't we given free will? I mean, weren't we given free will? So why are you trying to take away what was given to us freely? Just respect that we each have our own way and our own path. And remember, words have power. Words are spells. And let's remember that, even let's bring it in. Even in the Bible, what does it say? First there was the Word, and the Word was God. Do you know what that really means? It's saying our words bring things into being. Our words speak things into existence. And so this is the big download that's coming in. And I believe it just really ties it up beautifully. And is the whole basis of the reason why I wanted to do this live tonight and why I wanted to talk about this and just have people be a little bit more mindful about how they speak on things. Before you decide to put that energy out there and to speak in a hateful way about somebody's spirituality, just take a moment and just ask yourself, what are you speaking into existence? What are you speaking into existence when you do that? It's super valuable insight. And that'll help you understand a lot more about you. And then maybe in understanding that, then you'll also be able to make room that maybe there's understanding you lack about other people's paths. And maybe that's okay because it's their path. And it's about just respecting their freedom to choose the way that's right for them. I just want to see what the cut of the deck energy is here. Okay, interesting. Oh, we got a shadow and a light. Okay, this is perfect. Bringing in that duality, that balance. We got 2 cards over on the light side. All right. So let's look at the shadow aspect first. We have this Jack of Spades energy. And when we look at spades, Spades are all about action, and usually hasty action, fast action. And it's also about thoughts, right? Spades energy is associated with the air element, which is all about thoughts, inspiration, but swift, quickly. Okay. So, what this is really saying to me with it coming in the shadow aspect is don't be so quick to judge. Don't be so quick to judge. Let people show you who they are. And if you're looking to social media to inform you about a spiritual tradition, you probably want to start looking into other sources of knowledge because that's not a good resource for understanding someone's spiritual traditions. And if you can drop in and think for a moment about what your spirituality is to you and how you express that in the world, maybe take a moment to think about how that other person that you feel at odds with because you don't understand their way feels that same devotion and that same connection to their spiritual expression and how they relate to spirit. And maybe that's just a way that you can sort of create some space and room from being reactive, non-judgmental, instead move into that more non-judgmental energy where you can acknowledge, I don't know. I don't know what their path is. I don't know what it entails. I understand that it's not in alignment with my path. That may be the case in some cases. A lot of Christians feel that way. And so maybe you don't want to associate with witches. And guess what? You don't have to. You don't have to. But you also can't make a judgment about what they're about. It's not like we're all the same. Not all of us wear all black. Not all of us are out of the broom closet. Your doctor may be a witch. Your child's teacher in school might be a witch. That woman ringing up your groceries might be a witch. Your next door neighbor could be a witch. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people who walk this path. And just because they don't feel like making it known, because there is backlash. There is backlash around it. I know that when I make the choice to step out of the broom closet and really own who I am and step into my authenticity and express myself as I am in the world, come out as I'm a witch. This is my path. I dealt with a lot of hatred. I did. And it was at a time that I actually ran a forum online and I had people threatening me. Okay. So you would be surprised. There's a lot of people that are on this path and they don't talk about it. They're not out of the broom closet. And we have to respect their right for that naturally, right? We have to respect their right to keep that sacred and to themselves. I chose to come out because I don't think that that's acceptable, that there's this kind of hatred in the world because somebody has a different spiritual tradition than you. And I chose to kind of like put myself out there. And it's been very interesting to see, but I just say, just take some time before you jump to conclusions about people and ask yourself, do you even know a witch? Have you ever sat and talked with a witch? Have you had a conversation with them? Well, you're having one now, you're getting to know one now. I'll tell you, I don't hex. Have I ever hexed? Yes. Probably since I first came to this path, which really was honestly, in my childhood, I've always been drawn to this path. I'm a natural born witch. It was just in my blood. You know, I came into this world feeling that connection. This is my way. This is my way. That's what's in my heart. That's what's in my heart. And nobody can tell me that it's wrong. Nobody, nobody has the power to judge my heart, you know? Not one other fucking human being on the face of the earth. And the same applies for you, you know? The same applies for you, no matter what your spiritual tradition is. But, you know, when I first actually started working with spell work, you know, because that is part of the path. It is, you know, but most of the spells I do, honestly, are for myself. They're just for my personal growth. Yeah, well, you know what came through for me, Kai? What came through for me was it's not easy being green. I got a Kermit, and how it's not easy being green. This is an easy path to walk, right? It's not. It's not an easy path to walk. It's not easy on any level. It's not easy with the inner work you have to do. It's not easy with the responsibility you have to carry. Because once you do get tapped into your power, there absolutely is great responsibility in how you hold that power and how you exercise that power. But also, it's not easy being in the world and having this be your path, because there's a lot of people that don't understand it and they have a lot of fucking fear in them around it, and it's been conditioned into them and groomed into them, and it's a lot to fucking overcome. So yeah, you know, I really wanted to do this, and I had to choose green, right? I just had to choose green. It reminds me of Elphaba, you know. It's a little humor too. It's a little tongue-in-cheek humor. So I'm glad that you love the green, Kai. Um, yeah, you know, it's like, just see if you can open your mind a little bit. Nobody's asking you to become best friends with a fucking witch, okay? Or to go and hang out and circle with them and do a ritual or anything like that. Could you just like not speak hatefully? Could you not put fear propaganda out into the fucking world when you are, especially if you're a tarot reader, okay? Because like I was saying, back in the day, back in the day, you know, if you were caught reading tarot cards, man, you were a fucking witch. So you'd be lumped right in there with the rest of us. It's a little high horse, egocentric shit, you know? You can't sit there and talk about alchemy all the time, you know? You can't talk about alchemy all the time and then fucking talk about witches are fucking evil and they're always out there casting spells and doing harmful things to people. We're alchemists. We take the base lead of our souls and we transform it into gold by connecting with that snake energy. We're not afraid to look in the dark. We're not afraid to look at our shadow. We know who we are and we know we're different, but we're willing to own it. We're willing to own it. And we take all of that negative energy and all that hate speech, because it's what it is really, that you spew out into the world and cast spells with, and we take it in and we transmute that shit. And that's what we're all here to do. That's what we're all here to do, you know? So this is what needs to be transformed. This is the message coming through from Hecate. Don't be so quick to throw your darts and arrows. Don't be so quick to judge. Have a look in the mirror. Have a look in the mirror and understand the nature of your fear, and that the nature of your fear is that it's unknown to you. And so you can't control it. None of us have that kind of control. And why would we want it anyway? We're all one energy. Don't you want to be free? I want to be free. Don't you want to be free? Don't you want everybody to feel free? Don't you want everybody to be able to express their hearts, their souls as they're meant to be expressed, as their heart guides them? Why would you want to control that? Don't make up stories about it. Don't make up stories about what people are doing, you know, just because you don't understand, so you need to vilify it. It's about looking at the need within yourself to do this and transforming that energy and doing that work. And you do that by pausing, you know? I just ask you that, when we look at like spades energy, swords energy, it's also about the word, right? It's about the written word. It's about what we put out there, okay? What we express. There we go back to that original energy, right? First there was the word, and the word was God or spell casting. So be mindful of your words. Don't let them fly out of your mouth so fast. Take a moment and ask yourself, do you know for certain that you're speaking the truth? And what effect are those words going to have? Are your words words that feed the energy of love, or are they feeding the energy of fear? Because that's where the transformation is needed. So we know the transformation is needed. Oh, it's beautiful because right underneath that card, okay? I love this. Discover, learn, and play. It's one of the title cards for the deck, but I use it. I use it in interpreting things and readings. Yeah, take the risk, discover, learn, and stop feeling so like, stressed out about these topics, stop feeling so fearful, can you just like, maybe you can tap into the silliness of it instead. Maybe that'll help melt your fear a little bit. I always say the best banisher is laughter. Okay. So for those of you who are afraid that there's all these witches out there, cowered in corners, dark little corners under the pale moonlight, and we're casting evil spells on you because we're just these dark karmic souls. Just try laughing at us instead. Go ahead, just laugh. You'll be totally protected. Laughter is a wonderful banisher, okay? Maybe just tap into the silliness of this too. Like, do you see how I'm relaying it to you? How silly it is. It's really fucking silly. It's really silly. Laughter is the best banisher. So, maybe stop taking things so seriously, Is it really the end of the world if I want to sit and I want to get naked and dance under the moonlight and I want to sing songs to my God Pan? Is that really so wrong of me? I don't think so. And, you don't have to give a care about it. You don't have to be there. That's about me and my connection with my spirit. And I have a wild soul and I'll never be tamed. So it's pointless to even sit there and have any of this, need to try to control, because you can't control what is wild and free, man, you know? And maybe in just the recognition of that, it'll help you get a little more wild and free too, and just trusting your own path. I respect your path. And I think you'll find if you really were to, have conversations, real talk with a lot of witches, I think you'd find that they also respect your path. they wouldn't want to walk it either. Maybe what you do, seems like the last thing we'd want to do. Like I said, I was raised in a strict Christian religion. The idea of going and sitting in church for sermon is like the last thing I'd want to do. And I know about that tradition, but that doesn't mean that I want to try to keep you from doing it or tell you that you're wrong. I respect your right to choose. And if it's feeding you, if it's nourishing your soul, I'm all for that, man. If it brings you healing, if it brings you peace, that's beautiful, you know? So just respect that in other people's choices too, Stop taking it so fucking seriously. Again, it's funny because this is my combo that's about workings, right? Like when this comes up in my readings, and I'm a witch, so I do talk about occult stuff on this channel. And like I said, sometimes people do workings, okay? Are they very effective? No, not really. Not for a real witch. Like you can try to put whatever you fucking want on me. It's not going to do nothing because I'm in my power and I know any energy that affects me, I have to take on. I have to have an agreement with that energy. That's what happens when you're an alchemist. You understand that. And I don't take on any of that energy. It's all return to sender all day, every day. I don't get affected by workings. Uh, like I said, most of the time when people get affected by hex energy, it's because they actually jinxed themselves. They've crossed themselves by having these negative beliefs. And remember, thoughts are things. You bring it into existence. You believe that. So that's your reality. You're making that choice, actually. It's not me. It's not the witches. You're choosing to live in that ignorance is what it is, really. You know, you're choosing that path, not me. I'm in light. I don't take on that energy. Okay. You know, and it's funny because this is the combo that normally comes up, this eight of clubs, with this joker, this joker in reverse energy is normally what I do pull and see as like somebody might be doing some workings when it comes up in the shadow. But this is in the light. And this is just like kind of like this, like it's interesting because in a way, you just sort of like sat in on a spell, right? Because I've been using my words, right? I've been sitting with you and I've been speaking on all things related to the craft. I've been speaking to you about the path of the witch and I've been using my words. Have my words been about division? Have my words been about hate? Have my words been about cursing? I mean, I swear, I say fuck and, use curse words. But have my words been about division and harm and cruelty and hateful energy? Or have my words been about love and unity and the one energy and alchemizing and raising to a higher level of consciousness and letting your ashe, letting your spirit come forward in the world so you can share your gifts for the healing of all? And just know, I'm a witch and I said those words. And so in a way, I just did a good working here. Maybe, hold on to that. The next time you think about putting out something, that actually brings a lot of hurtful energy into the world just because it perpetuates these old programs that really, it's time for us as a collective to rise above that energy and transform it. Everything that is happening in the world right now is speaking to that. Everything that's happening in the world is speaking to our need to stop feeding the division and move towards unity, move towards understanding, move towards healing. So that's just the main thing I wanted to get through with this. It was super important to me. And I felt like I needed to do it on a soul level. I had to speak to it on a soul level. It needed to come forward. I just ask you, please, the next time that you want to put something out there like that, the next time you want to speak to something like that in one of your readings, just ask yourself just for a moment, what will I be feeding with these words? Because they're spells. And once you speak it into existence, there's no taking it back. I really feel like, this is just the heart of the message that wanted to come through. I'd just been seeing so much of it, and I really wanted to talk about it. It always kind of makes me sad, the way that there's so much distance in the world. There's just so much distance between understanding in the world. And I see it get farther every day. And one of the reasons that I've wanted to even start doing these like late night talk and tarots is not just to have kind of a different type of a reading experience, but really to have a conversation with the cards and to talk about things that maybe it's not always easy for us to talk about. But I definitely want this to be a meeting place where people can come together and people feel that it's safe for them to bring their views in, no matter what their views are. But there is one ground rule I have here at Broad Coven, and that is you will be respectful to everybody in this space. And if you're not, I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm not going to sit there and roll over while somebody's wiping their fucking feet off on me on my channel, or on anybody who's here to receive what wants to come through. And that's just the way I hold court. Okay. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for those of you who came tonight and dropped in with me for this talk and tarot. And if you think of any ideas or subjects, things you want to bring in the future, like I was saying, if you're a reader, and you want to hop on here with me and do some readings with me and we can tackle a topic together, I would love to do that. I'm totally about that. I would love to build community here. Like I said, there's just so many amazing readers on YouTube. Already gave the big body high priestess a shout out. Also, I just absolutely love Green Eyes from Perfectly Imperfect Tarot. And then John at JD Tarot is awesome. And Tyler of Tyler Tarot, I love dropping in for my dose of Tyler. He's so mouthy and direct and real. And Tyler, I don't know if you'll ever see this, but you're a super, super gifted reader. And you so often question yourself with what comes through, but you are so on point. You are so, so on point. And thank you for making me laugh. You just bring laughter into my day. And I love how you're so open minded, and you just let it all hang out. You're just so real. I think, you're one of the realest readers on YouTube. And I just really appreciate your energy. And there's also Wilder. Wilder has the Sharpest Teeth, YouTube channel. Kind of hard to find right now because they're just getting started. But if you look on my page, okay, if you look on my page down at the bottom, I have a section channels I dig, and I have all the readers there that I really love on YouTube are listed there. So please, check out those readers. They're fabulous. There's amazing readers here on YouTube that are putting out really awesome stuff. But I did want to address this message that I'm hearing come up so often, about workings, about voodoo, about African diaspora traditions, and these false perceptions and actually, communicating about these things in such a way, it really does a disservice. It really does. And I'm a person like, hey, I'm a double Libra, man. I'm a Queen of Swords. Like I have to speak the truth. I have to speak the truth. And I felt compelled by my spirit to speak to this and bring this in. So all in the interest of understanding and for us all to like come together as a greater community, right? And really express support for people having their freedom, their freedom to walk their paths and not try to tell them what that needs to look like, but just understanding that we each have our own way. So thank you so much for all of you who joined me tonight. I really appreciate you. And I'll just go ahead and throw it in. Help us help abroad out with the energy exchange. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like, share, if you feel compelled to. It continues to help the channel. And I just want to keep having this place as a connecting point for all of us. And I look forward to bringing so much more to the table. And I hope you all have a beautiful night.